Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, o'er purple mounted majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrims' feet, who stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till of success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Amen.
Greetings. My name is Frank Gressick. I'm from the U.S. Army, and I'm also the new commander of Riverside American Legion Post 488. I would like to welcome everybody here to the Riverside Memorial Day program. And I'd like to introduce Tom Sisolek. Without him, this program would not be possible. He is the heart and soul of this program. Tom?
Thank you, Frank, and welcome to everybody for attending today. Beautiful weather. Last year, you might remember, we were indoors at the Methodist Church with a lot of cold rain. The Memorial Day philosophy is to develop this program into a family event for everyone to attend, also to teach the children the true meaning of Memorial Day. The 54 Riverside soldiers who were killed in action defending our freedom, they did not get to come home to Riverside. They did not have a family or perhaps a home in Riverside. They were Riverside Brookfield High School students. They went sledding right over here at Swan Pond during the winter snows. President Abraham Lincoln of Illinois stated on the battlefield at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, "It is up to the living to remember the sacrifices made by the men and women who died defending America's freedom." So today we're here to recognize the 54 young men, many of whom were 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, from Riverside who died during World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I would now like to invite Reverend Jennifer Fisher to come forward. Okay. Reverend Fisher is the newest member of our Riverside pastors at Ascension Lutheran Church. She is also a Gold Star wife. Her husband was killed in a helicopter crash at Fort Hood, Texas. Her current husband is a major and also a chaplain, Greg Mosier. He was sent twice to Afghanistan and has recently returned. They're going to be heading to another very special Killed in Action Memorial service in Springfield, Illinois, following today's program. Pastor Jennifer Fisher.
If you'll please join me in prayer. Holy God, we come today to pause, to remember not just Riverside men killed in action, but men and women everywhere who have served this country and have been killed in action. As citizens, we are grateful for their loyalty, their dedication, their willingness to go where others have not, to preserve a way of life that we have come to cherish. But as people of faith, we are mindful that before they ever put on a uniform, before they associated themselves with any national flag, first, they were your precious children. They had stories and they had lives, passions, joys, fears, sorrows that are known in some cases now only to you. And so we lift up our honored dead and we ask that you cover them in your grace, confident that your assurances of resurrection are theirs as well. We ask that you be a comforting presence to surround families that are left with a hole missing that now needs to be filled in some way and can never be the same. All these things we are mindful of that we lift up to you because you are our Creator God. And it is in your name then that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jennifer Fisher. We will now have our color guard entrance, and this is going to be led by the Riverside Fire Department Honor Guard, followed by the Riverside Police Scouts Firing Squad, followed by the Riverside Scouts. And it's going to be led by Fireman Scott Slemons.
Prepared full colors. Ready? Post.
and arms.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right. Face.
There's a far and distant river where the roses are in bloom. A sweetheart who is waiting there for me. And it's there I pray you take me. I've been faithful, don't forsake me. I'll be with her when the roses bloom again.
These men helping all of us here in Riverside are the folks that we know are going to be there when we dial 911. They are our first responders. They will even be at your home before the United States Army gets their orders. Today, President Ben Sills is congratulating them, thanking them for their service to Riverside. And I know there are several who also serve their country in either the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines or Coast Guard. Thank you once again, men. Thank you. I would now like to have you each turn to the back page of your program, where you will see the honored veterans of World War II from Riverside listed. In 2009, Frank Sisolak was the oldest living veteran in the state of Illinois. In 2009, served 4 years in the United States Army in Africa, putting up hospital tents. 2010, we honored James R. Michaels, Corporal, United States Marine Corps, was at Iwo Jima, was in the first photograph of the soldiers putting the flag at the top of Mount Suribachi. And I hope maybe Vicki Michaels is here. Is Vicki here today? Okay, Vicki Michaels and her daughters are right over here. When Jimmy Michaels returned to Riverside, they were married at St. Mary's Church, I believe, and raised 4 daughters in Riverside. 2011, John Liu, Captain, United States Army Air Corps, a pilot and instructor. And I'm certain that his wife, Marjorie, is here. Where's Marjorie? Right there. 2012, we honored Dr. Marion Magalotti, Captain, United States Army, medical doctor. He actually served on all of the troop trains. When the soldiers arrived in New York, he took care of them on the train, all the way to Chicago, all the way to California, whatever they needed while they were on the train reaching their home. Last year, 2013, we honored Donald Farnham, United States Marine Corps, at the Battle of Iwo Jima. Don Farnham is right here in the front row. Let's honor him. Thank you, Don. Today we're going to honor Gordon C. Hay, United States Army Air Corps, B-17 bomber pilot. And I would like to invite his 2 daughters and their entire family to come up. We'll let the 2 daughters sit in the chairs. Family, come up and stand behind your mothers, wives. Also, we have some past village presidents. Joe DiNatale. Is he able to be here today? Mr. Paul Stack, come up and congratulate this family. Join us. Also, Jack Wyaduck. Jack, come on up. There's Joe. Joe, come on up. And our current president, Ben Sells, come up, please. Gordon Hayes' wife is here in Riverside. She is unfortunately kind of under the weather with the flu after attending her granddaughter's RB graduation Friday night in the cold. So we recognize Colleen, most definitely. I would also like to invite Bob Uphues to come forward. Bob has a special presentation. Bob is the editor of the Landmark newspaper.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks a lot for coming out here, everybody, and thank you to the extended Hay family who are here. Gordon Hay was one of the lucky ones. He had a certificate to prove it. He was lucky in a number of ways, of course. He was lucky to have a wonderful family, his wife Colleen, and his daughters Meredith, Pamela, and Lauren. He was lucky to have a long, fruitful career, 40 years as a salesman for Durkee Famous Foods. And he was lucky to have grown up in Riverside, and lucky enough to live in the same apartment building as Colleen Rooney, who would become his wife just a couple of years later. Colleen actually heard Gordon sing before she ever heard him talk. He was the young man who would walk through the halls of the apartment building singing Waltzing Matilda. 2 years younger than Gordon, Colleen worked up the courage to introduce herself to him at Henninger's drugstore. And that's how they got to know each other. Gordon Hay loved Riverside so much, he never wanted and never did live anywhere else. Although I should qualify that. He did live elsewhere for about 3 years. One of the places he lived was inside the cockpit of a B-17 bomber. As a co-pilot of a B-17 crew, Gordon Hay flew 30 missions, almost all of them over Nazi Germany, from February 16th until April 16th, 1945. He told Colleen that he wanted to join the Army Air Corps instead of getting drafted because he didn't want to end up a foot soldier in an infantry company. I'd rather fly over the war than walk through it, he told her. It turned out Gordon didn't so much fly over the war as fly right through it. Even in the last months of the war in Europe, as Germany began to collapse, when casualty rates for bomber crews decreased from where they'd been in 1943 and 1944, missions were still perilous. During every mission, planes had to maintain formation over their targets and brave fierce anti-aircraft fire, particularly over places like Berlin. On April 10th, 1945, over Oranienburg, Germany, Gordon and the rest of his B-17 crew faced, with a mixture of fascination and terror, I'm sure, something new in warfare: German fighter planes powered by jet engines. Gordon Hay was lucky to have completed 30 missions without serious injury, though members of his crew weren't as fortunate. During a March 28, 1945 bombing run over Berlin, his plane was hit, probably by anti-aircraft fire. Two of the crew, Sergeant Melvin C. Mealer, who was the tail gunner, and Technical Sergeant James Lewis, who doubled as radio operator and machine gunner, were wounded. Both survived. They were lucky too. When Gordon returned from his final mission on April 16, 1945, for the record that was over Regensburg, Germany, he found out just how lucky he was. His commanding officer inducted him into the Lucky Bastards Club. And here's the certificate that I was talking about. It's signed by his squadron CO, his commanding officer. It's got a silhouette of a B-17. And it says, on the 16th day of April, 1945, the fickle finger of fate finds it expedient to trace on the roll of the Lucky Bastards Club the name Gordon C. Hay, co-pilot of the Flying Fortress Thumper, for having this day achieved the remarkable record of sallying forth and returning no less than 30 times, for having braved the hazards of Hun flak, for bringing to Hitler and his cronies tons of bombs, for bending the Luftwaffe's back, all through the courtesy of the 8th Army Air Force, who sponsors these programs in the interest of liberty-loving people everywhere. The war wasn't officially over at that point, but for Gordon Hay, 30 missions meant it was over for him. He arrived back in that December, by train, it should be noted, and he married Colleen Rooney in 1947. And although Gordon's job involved a lot of travel, Riverside was always his refuge, and it remains Colleen's refuge to this day. On this Memorial Day, we're honored to recognize men like Gordon C. Hay and like Melvin Mueller and James Lewis, and I suspect Colleen Hay and her daughters Pamela and Lauren, who are with us today, and their families, know exactly how lucky they are. Thanks.
President Ben Sills.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Village of Riverside, we would like to recognize Gordon C. Hay, Flight Officer, for his military service during World War II in the United States Army Air Corps. His devotion and dedication to the United States of America was vital in securing and preserving America's freedom.
Okay, Lauren and Pam, you have to come up by the microphone. They told me they were very nervous even before the program started. Rest of the family stay here. Rest of the family stay here. You can sit down if you want, but Lauren and Pam, come up here. If you want to introduce your family and just say thank you.
Alrighty. Yeah, first of all,
Go
I want
by the black.
this one
foam,
here.
yep.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for being here. It's very moving, very touching. Gordy was a great guy. So many of you knew him. He was a good dad. And he produced some pretty wonderful grandchildren, too. Two of my three are here today to join us. Matt, Schmaling, Katie, and my youngest, unfortunately, is not in the general area at the moment. But we miss him and wish he was here.
I'd like to, on behalf of my family, thank everyone too. My daughter's working today, Colleen. This is my son, Michael Mexto, my daughter, Grace Cody, my husband, Brian Cody. And we're thinking about our sister, Meredith, who is very active in helping the service people abroad with her organization. She's not here. We miss her. We miss Dad. And thanks again for everything.
Yeah, thank you once again.
You two ladies would go by your family there? We're going to have the Gordon C. Hay family escorted to the flagpole. Commander Troiani will carry the new flag, which we will place on the flagpole in honor of Gordon C. Hay for the day. And Frank Gressick, Greg Saganich will escort the two daughters with their family, along with the village presidents, over to the flagpole. The Boy Scout Troop number 24 from the Presbyterian Church will now take care of the flag ceremony. If you'd like to stand, you may. You don't have to. We will be playing the national anthem in a few minutes, but you can be seated during this 3 or 4 minutes. The protocol is that the present flag is raised to the top of the flagpole, then is brought to the bottom, then is exchanged with the Gordon C. Hay New American flag, which will be raised to the top of the flagpole, then returned to half-staff, where it will remain until 3 p.m. this afternoon in honor of Gordon C. Hay, B-17 bomber pilot from Riverside, Illinois. You may also have heard the phrases Blue Star family and Gold Star family, a family that has one service member in service of the United States will have a flag in their window containing a blue flag. In the event that their son or daughter is killed in action, then the flag is changed to a Gold Star flag. And the Gold Star mother term began during World War II because most of the soldiers were still high school or college students. They were not yet married. So the Gold Star mother term became quite well known during World War II. They are in the process of folding the flag that was there to begin the day and will be raising the new flag. The Gold Star Memorial Garden, right around the flagpole, was instituted in 1920 following World War I. We are in the process of redesigning this area. Several of the stones have managed to work their way down into the soil, and the names are frequently buried under the soil. When the flag is returned to half-staff, we will have the national anthem by Dovas Laitavaninkas. You may be seated. During this next song, the Girl Scouts will also be placing flower bouquets on top of the 4 Killed in Action stones at the flagpole, and will also be presenting thank you cards to our veterans and elders. Marilyn Hinton is going to sing for us, God Bless America.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountain to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Marilyn is a member of the Riverside United Methodist Church. She's also born citizen of the Philippines, all through the United States. And she and her husband, John, do many medical missions to the Philippines in many, many years. And as everyone knows, the Philippines were very vital as one of our allies during World War II, as they were in helping us. Now I'd like to invite our village president, Ben Sells, to come forward.
Thank you, Tom, and good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today with the men and women who have served our nation so selflessly. It's an honor to be here with the extended Hay family and to honor Gordon Hay, and through him, all of the men and women who have served to keep us all safe and allow us to be here on a day like this. And thank you, too, to all the scouts and the public safety people who are here who keep us safe on a daily basis. The beauty of this day accentuates a curious tension that is sometimes hard to reconcile on Memorial Day. On the one hand, today represents an almost unimaginable sacrifice. Hundreds of thousands of lives lost in service to the enduring cause of freedom. For many Americans, these losses are anonymous. Endless rows of white crosses on a silent field. But for someone, somewhere, each of those crosses represents an intimate and a personal sorrow. The touch of a hand, the cadence of a laugh, the warmth of a shared love, now gone. But on the other hand, Memorial Day has become for us a day to celebrate the beginning of summer. Today is a day of cookouts and games, of hot dogs and laughter. Happiness abounds, and everywhere there is a sense of new beginnings. The question is, how do we hold these two seemingly opposite realities of sorrow and joy together? Is it wrong to be so happy on a day that also represents such sorrow? Do we somehow dishonor the fallen when we turn our faces to the sun? The answer, I think, is that this is a false choice. We need not find a way to hold sorrow and joy together because they are not in fact separate. Instead, the memories of the lives and the sacrifices that we honor today teach us that sorrow and joy are bound together, each requiring the other. In ancient times, sorrow and joy were imagined as kindred spirits born of the same parents. Both were seen as essential to the very fabric of existence itself, and one could never be present without the other. Just as there is not a clear line between past and present, or between what is lost and what is found, we draw a false dichotomy when we seek to oppose sorrow and joy. There are so many things that teach us of this unbreakable bond. A mentor, long gone, is heard clear as a bell in a new insight. The memory of a lost love sparks an act of kindness. A life sacrificed in the desire simply to make the world a better place inspires us to present-day courage. The joy is right there, bound together in the heart with the sorrow that is its natural partner. I heard a saying once that when you are happy, you enjoy the music, and when you are sad, you understand the lyrics. Sometimes I suspect it is the other way around, but what is important is that both are required to make a song. So maybe that is a good way to think of this day of remembrance and of all the sorrow and the joy that it entails, as a song carried over from generation to generation, sung anew each Memorial Day. So on this day, let us honor the fallen by joining their chorus, adding a new verse to their song, and marching steadily forward to their beat. Let the eternal quest for freedom and the memory of the price that so many have paid so that we may sing together be a song that we cannot get out of our heads. Not on this day, not on any day. May God bless the fallen and bring solace and joy to their families and friends who have also given so much. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait a second. Wait. Thank you, President Ben Sells, for your presentation. Thank you, President Ben Sells, for your presentation. Now we will have the trio, Pastor Doug Asbury, Robert Hollub, and John Hinton will sing "Oh Danny Boy" for us.
The pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers are dying. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
I was just also handed a note that one of our Riverside Brookville High School graduates also grew up in Riverside, was in the Afghanistan War. Mike Zawacki is dealing with a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders presently, so if everybody keep him in your prayers. Our Riverside American Legion commander, Frank W. Gressick, United States Army, served in both Iraq and Afghanistan.
Freedom isn't free. My wife, Mary Beth, my sons, Drew and Dylan, have heard me say that thousands of times. But just in case you haven't heard it, I'll say it again. Freedom isn't free. Today's about remembering, honoring, and voicing our gratitude for the courageous men and women and their families as they serve our armed forces and sacrifice so much that this great nation may remain free for some 237 years. I was going to read a poem by Kelly Strong as a tribute that he wrote as a tribute to his father, who served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. In 1981, Kelly, just a senior in high school and a member of the junior ROTC program, wrote this poem. He later went on to become an officer in the Coast Guard. I said I was going to read this poem, but I don't think that I could make it all the way through. So instead, I will ask you to say thank you to a veteran and their family. Not just today, but every time you see one. Approximately 50% of the veterans that are returning today from the recent conflicts have some type of physical, mental, or spiritual wounds. A simple thank you goes a long way. Thank you for participating in the Riverside Memorial Day program. Thank you.
We will now begin the roll call of our Riverside 54, the young soldiers who were killed in action from Riverside. And I'd like to invite our 2 scouts to come up, our bell ringer, as well as the wreath runner. Eric Robertson's going to ring the bell after each page, and Max Hadley is going to carry the wreath to the river. Pastor Doug Asbury, Riverside United Methodist Church.
You have this list of names that will be read on the second page of your program if you want to follow along. I'll begin with the 54 killed in action soldiers who were killed in action protecting America's freedom. World War I, Albert Edward Moore, James P. Quinn, the Reverend Hedley Heber Cooper. World War II, Donald Arthur Abel, Richard K. Babbitt, Bruce O. Bigger, Otto C. Blechschmidt, George D. Bohatti, Dave C. Bowman, and Paul Brennan.
Reverend Jennifer Fisher, Riverside Ascension Lutheran Church.
Curtis Spurrin, Mark W. Castle, James F. Ekman, Trevor A. Edward, Robert W. Eggleston, Robert H. Fenley, James H. Green, Arno M. Hess, James H. Hosgood, John J. Genovic,
Reverend Scott Jansen, Riverside Presbyterian Church.
Richard Jicka, Bert T. Kruger, Francis J. Lestina, Robert A. Lazati, Donald C. Lundgren, Robert H. McFarlane, Homer C. McDowell, Frank J. Monkel, Harry P. Martini, and Thomas McHugh.
Father Thomas May, St. Mary Parish.
Jerry G. Mikan, Harold C. Miller, William Munson, William Oldacre Jr., Keith A. Orsinger, Francis P. Parker, George S. Praxa, Richard Rogers, John Rukas, Thomas R. Schluter, John N.D. Smith.
Staff Sergeant Greg Saganich, United States Army, United States Air Force.
Continuing with World War II, Edward Spritzma, Jack E. Thatcher, Graham Trevor, Elmer Ulich, John T. Warner, Merle F. Wolt.
Commander Joseph E. Troiani, United States Navy.
The Korean War. James J. Andrely Jr., David M. Barrett, Edward V. Haletke, William Leonard, Edward Clark Sachs. The Vietnam War. John W. Bolesny, Donald Pratt.
We will now have our Sacred Naval Wreath ceremony. If Kay Sordell could come forward with Commander Joseph E. Troiani. This wreath was made by Kay. It is entirely made of vines and flowers, no metal, no plastic. This is to honor all of Riverside's killed in action, as well as all of America's killed in action, missing in action, prisoner of war. If you would like to stand, if you would like, and watch, the wreath is going to be run down to the sacred Native American Indian River, Des Plaines River, and then the scout will return. Pastor Doug Asbury will have our benediction, and we will then have a song before the concluding color guard exit.
Please pray with me. O God, grant to the living grace, to the departed rest, to the world peace and concord, to all your people the promise of everlasting life, light to guide us on our way, courage to support us, and your blessing to unite us in service to you, our God, and to our fellow human beings of every race, tribe, and nation. Amen.
You may be seated. Jim Sid is going to play our final song entitled If You Are Reading This.
If you're reading this, my mama's sitting there. Looks like I only got a one-way ticket over here. Sure wish I could give you one more kiss. Oh, it was just a game we played when we were kids. So I'm laying down my gun and hanging up my boots. I'm up here with God and we're both watching over you. So lay me down in that open field out on the edge of town. And oh, my soul is where my mama always prayed that it would go. If you're reading this, well, I'm already home. Well, if you're reading this halfway around the world, I won't be there to see the birth of our little girl. I hope she looks like you. I hope she fights like me and stands up for the innocent and the weak. So I'm laying down my gun and hanging up my boots. Tell Dad I don't regret that I followed in his shoes. So lay me down in that open field out on the edge of town. And oh, my soul is where my mama always prayed that it would go. If you're reading this, well, I'm already home. If you're reading this, it's gonna come a day when you'll move on and find someone else, and that's okay. Just remember this, I'm in a better place, where soldiers live in peace and angels sing Amazing Grace. So lay me down in that open field out on the edge of town. And oh, my soul is where my mama always prayed that it would go. If you're reading this, if you're reading this, well, I'm already home.
Thank you very much, Jim. We will now conclude with our Color Guard exit parade. If the Riverside Fire Department, Commander Scott Selamos and his crew would please come forward. If the audience would please rise.
Stand. Arms. Order. Arms. Prepare to retrieve the colors. Ready? Retreat. Right. Face. Forward. March. Leo. Leo. Leo.
Thank you all for attending our program to honor all of Riverside's soldiers. The Covenant of Churches has refreshments, beverage, if you would like to stay and visit. Thank you again for attending today.